Welcome to Rewatch and Rank. On this channel, we rewatch older TV shows, provide a summary and opinion on the episode before ranking each episode against each other. Today's episode is Criminal Minds, Season 1, Episode 5, Broken Mirror. The episode in a nutshell is a brief summary of what happened in the episode. So in this episode, a girl named Trish is at a party with her boyfriend, whom she's secretly getting engaged to, and as they're leaving, they have a moment where they're joking about him driving under the influence and her not letting him, but then she does let him, and they almost run into the back of a car that's been abandoned on the road while they're not paying attention. And the boyfriend then is taken out while she is kidnapped. And this is when we return to the office, where Reed's commenting on how Morgan is very liked by the female agents, but he tells him that he has a policy about dating women with guns and he's not going to do that. So they then get called in. They are briefed on Trisha's kidnapping, and her father is someone important and someone who is under protection, but Trish had declined her protection when she turned 18. They then go to meet the father while the local FBI office has swept the house for bugs, and then bring in equipment to track the phone calls and whatnot. And then Elle and Derek, holy shoot. Elle and Derek go to the crime scene. This is where they meet her sister Cheryl, who is lying on the road, trying to get a sense of whether Trish is alive or dead. Derek then role plays for the killer before they all return back to the dad's house, where they wait for Vincent to call them. They receive the call. He wants to talk to Cheryl. Cheryl's put on. She's told the ransom amount and given instructions on where to go. She then goes to bring the ransom money to the location that he chose, which was a rental car lot. However, just before she is kidnapped, Derek and Aaron put together what's happening, that it's not a ransom drop, but a second kidnapping, and manage to save her. She's then brought back to the house. She's put on the phone again, where they start to figure out kind of who this killer may be. Gideon realizes that he's a collector type, and they basically piss him off to the point where he starts grandstanding, which lets them know that he's one of them because of all the information that he knew about the agents on the BAU team. Then they decide that because they're now convinced Vincent's one of them, they then take Cheryl to a safe house. Once they reach the safe house, Derek is knocked out, but Elle, who Vincent looks down on as being promoted too soon and not being part of the boys club, is ignored, and she is on the phone with Reed talking about how if he's one of us, how can you know what's happening at the house and leave Trish unguarded while trying to get Cheryl? And so they end up checking the equipment that the FBI office brought in, find that it was actually bugged after all. And meanwhile, while Ella's on the phone, Vincent enters Cheryl's room, pulls out a knife, and basically waxes poetic about how they're finally together and how this is how it should always be, the three of them, how he loves her and has loved her for so long. Creepy stuff. And then Elle, who was disregarded while Morgan was knocked out, basically comes in with a gun and says, stop this. And then Vincent is taken care of. The team returns home. Trish is rescued. And then Prentice, not Prentice. Is it Prentice? Or is that who replaces? Or am I on the wrong show? Anyways, Elle. I know for sure it's Elle. Um, Elle then sees Derek working on the paperwork for the case and offers to assist him. And that's how we close out the episode. So now it's time to rank the episode. And we will always rank on two lists. We have our mostly objective ranking list, which is void emotion, but does include bias and judgment. And then the personal ranking list, which is where the emotional / entertainment value comes into play. So in our mostly objective ranked values, I highlighted those I felt applied to this episode. And first we have our single episode supporting character introductions, and each character is worth 1 point. So we have Patricia Davenport, Cheryl Davenport, who are the object of the villain's attentions, Evan Davenport, who is their father, and then Vincent Shire, who is the kidnapper of Patricia and wannabe kidnapper of Cheryl. And that's 4 points. We then have 3 points for our multi-season supporting character development, which is that we do learn in this episode that Haley Hotchner is on bed rest for her pregnancy, and according to Hotchner, that is going to be the case for 6 weeks, though she is not enjoying it and he worries that she won't actually be able to stand or handle those 6 weeks. Bringing us to 7 positive points. However, there are some negatives. The first negative is the negative messaging or behavior, which of course is the distracted driving / potentially driving under the influence. Basically, when Trish and her boyfriend leave the house party that they're at, she accuses him of having drunk way too much, tells him he can't drive. She then proceeds to give him various tests to determine his sobriety, and he does not pass a single one, but because he's acting cute with her, she decides to let him drive anyway, though makes a point to say that he should drive slowly, putting both obviously her life and his life at risk if he actually is as under the influence as he seems to be. Then once they are in the car, they feel that it is appropriate, the both of them, to basically make googly eyes at each other while holding hands and not watch the road that they are driving down, which is just terrible behavior and distracted. And then what is the result? At the very last moment, they happen to see that there is a vehicle that is not moving on the road in front of them and have to slam on their brakes, almost crashing out and potentially harming themselves and dying. And what if somebody was sitting in the other car? It does turn out to be abandoned, but at the same time, well, I mean, it was set there as a trap, but at the same time, if somebody had been in it, maybe someone had broke down and they had slammed into it, there's a lot of what ifs that would have ended very, very badly. And even the very fact that they had to slam on their brakes because they weren't paying attention and did not see it as they were driving and paying attention driving is in and of itself very negative messaging / behavior. So that's -2 points, bringing us to 5. And then, because it's a Villain of the Week series, the episodes do get ranked on whether they are memorable, meaning that when you think of the series, you immediately clock that that episode happened. Semi-memorable, where you kind of have to be most of the way through an episode before you catch on to like, oh yeah, now I remember who did it, or now I remember what happened. I've seen this before. And then completely unmemorable to where like you've watched the series more than once, and yet it's like you're watching it the first time because it had not entered into your memory whatsoever. This episode happened to fall in the semi-memorable category, and as such is also worth another -2 points, which then brings us to a total objective rank of 3 out of 10 for this episode. And that brings us to our season 1 ranking so far on our mostly objective ranking. And in first we have Extreme Aggressor, followed by Compulsion, Plain Sight, this episode Broken Mirror comes in fourth, and then in fifth, Won't Get Fooled Again. Now, as to my personal opinion on the episode, I feel like one of the things about one of the Villain of the Week episode type shows is that there's always going to be some villains that are more interesting than others, some bad evil concepts that are better than others. There are going to be some that are just more interesting to watch or interesting to that are going to like suck you into the mystery more than others. Frankly speaking, when I look at this episode, I mostly think talking. They're all gathered in a room, they're spitting out theories, and then there's talking on the phone. It's not really action packed, it's not really thrilling, it's not really emotionally impactful. It just kind of is talking. That's what it feels like when I watch this particular episode. It's talking. And I do like how the show as a whole offers a large variety of different types of crimes that they're going after. Like, it's not just we go after specifically only serial killers, they go after kidnappers, they go after arsonists, they go after poisoners, they go after actual serial killers, various types of serial killers, the whole nine yards. Like, they go after a great number of people, and different types of criminals that need profiling. So it is always interesting. There is always something new. But like I said, in those types of shows, concepts, not every episode can live up to every other episode. And this is one that I felt was rather lackluster. I felt like it kind of was blah. And even like with the rescue, that happens off screen. They just show her being brought out of someplace on a gurney, and it's like we didn't even get to see where he was keeping her or how they figured that out. We just got Cheryl got moved to a safe house. He came into the room, Elle held him and arrested him. Derek got knocked out. That was interesting, I guess, but ultimately, like, nothing else really, not a lot happened. So I just genuinely do feel like ultimately it wasn't the best episode. It's even hard to come up with things to say about it because it was so talking. And that is why I gave it a 1 out of 10. And season 1 ranking so far on the personal ranking is in first Compulsion, Plain Sight, Extreme Aggressor, Won't Get Fooled Again, and then this episode does come in fifth, Broken Mirror. And so we come to our final segment, the series ranking so far, and on the mostly objective ranking, season 1 so far has 25 points out of a maximum possible 220. And then on the personal ranking, season 1 so far has 21 points out of a possible 220. With that, we've now rewatched and ranked Criminal Minds Season 1, Episode 5, Broken Mirror. Like and subscribe if you'd like to, and I'll see you in the next episode.